So the Friends Provident International FA Cup preliminary round, Tony, taking place just in
6th of Jan.
6th of Jan, so first Saturday of the new year.
Yeah.
First Saturday back. We have 26 teams in the draw.
Yep.
There are 10 matches. If my maths are correct, that means 20 teams will play and 6 get buys.
6 get buys, and then we've got 10 winners. The 10 join the 6. We've got 16, then we go 8, 4, 2, and then we got the winners.
That is maths right there, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. Okay, so Frank and Richard are drawing the balls, aren't they, Tony?
Yeah, Frank is going to do the away team, I think, and Richard's going to do the home team.
I'll do that first one.
And then we'll have a little look at it.
So first team, Richard, is...
Number 18.
Number 18, that's Peel with a home tie.
And 22.
Against number 22. Guess who that is?
Geordies?
Russian.
Wow.
Old Firm in the prelim round. Okay, Russian against... Well, Peel against Russian. There we go. That's the first match.
Number 6.
Number 6, that's Douglas Athletic.
We'll play number 8.
Number 8, that's Old Boys. Douglas Derby as well. Another Derby. Okay.
Number 12.
Number 12, Jims.
Okay. Number 16.
Number 16 is Michael United.
Number 24.
Number 24 is St John's.
And they will play number 7.
Number 7, Douglas and District.
Number 14.
Number 14, home match for Maloo.
And number 3.
Another derby, Maloo Castletown. There we go.
Number 11.
Number 11, that's Governors.
Okay. And number 5.
Number 5 is Corinthians.
Number 15.
Number 15, Marown.
Number 25.
Against St Mary's.
Number 10.
Number 10, Foxdale.
Number 2.
Against Braddon.
Number 17.
Number 17 is Onken.
They will play 23.
Number 23, St George's.
Number 26.
26 is Union Mills.
Number 19.
Against number 19, that is Polrose. Okay, so we'll just go through those ties again for you all. The 10 games in the preliminary round of the Friends Provident International FA Cup to be played on the 6th of January are as follows. Some cracking derbies in here, boys. Peel against Russian. Douglas Athletic against Douglas High School Old Boys. Jims hosts Michael United. It's St John's against Douglas and District. Southern Derby, Maloo host Castletown. It's Governors Athletic against Corinthians. Marown versus St Mary's. Foxdale against Braddon. Onken against St George's, and Union Mills against Polrose. So, Tony, if things are correct, that means there are buys for Ayr United, Colby, Douglas Royal, Laxey, Ramsey Youth Centre.
That's it.
Those are the 6 that have the buys. Okay, so there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I was going to say, any ties jump out at you there, guys, but that would be stating the obvious, really, wouldn't it, with a couple of those?
Well, I would think so. When you look at Peel Russian, 2 really good sides, and at the start of the season, I think a lot of people fancied Peel to mix it at the top because they've got a really good squad together. Russian, maybe people were put off a little bit, but then they signed a lot of players in that final week, and it's made them strong. And I think Russian are real title contenders because it showed last week. To beat St George's 4-0 takes some doing, but already Peel beat Russian at Russian, and Russian beat Peel at Russian, and then Peel beat Russian at Peel. So, it's been topsy-turvy by the 2 sides, but they're both equal, I think, and it's going to be really tight where that's going to go, and I'm pretty certain that's the game that we're going to cover on that day for Friends Provident. But I'll let Richard come in on this one. Maloo against Castletown, because this game, which was played at Maloo earlier on the season, was bit of a feisty one, really, to say the least.
It was a little bit, yeah, and I'm sure the next game will be just as feisty, I imagine. No, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good game. It's always good to play against them. So, yeah, should be good.
Is it one of those as well when you look at Castletown, who are really pushing hard in Division 2? Do you want a Premiership side or would you prefer Division 2? I think you want a Premiership side, really, don't you? Just to see where you're at.
I think it'd be good to play someone like the likes of St Mary's or Braddon or someone to see how we're doing against those boys. But we're doing quite well this season. We're pushing on, we're striving. So, yeah, I mean... But Malou, hey, it'd be a good game, be a great game. Yeah, it always is.
Feisty start to the new year, no doubt. Frank, what about you? What do you make of this draw?
Well, I think the first one was the standout one. It comes straight out of the bag,
Shocking,
didn't it?
that,
Peel
yeah.
and Russian. I mean, Russian in particular, it was very notable, that result last week. But there's some good ties down there, isn't there, right across the board? The likes of Onken playing St George's. I mean, that's a big test for Onken. Union Mills, Paul Rose, etc., etc. There's some good ties there, and of course, hopefully with the weather, let's hope the weather's kind to us and we get these things going, because I do empathise with Tony. You know, that the fixtures getting called off, it all piles up, it all builds up a backlog, and Tony does a great job in so much as he has to control all these things, and people think it's easy, but it's not. It's very much, we appreciate Tony's efforts, so let's hope it goes ahead as planned and the weather improves.
There's quite a bit of imbalance in the fixtures as well. That's the thing that struck me this season, Tony, so far, with what you've said in past weeks, with some teams not being able to play because of commitments with the Isle of Man representative side and the like. So you've got some teams have played 12, 13, 14 games, others have played 7, 8, 9. That must be a bit of a headache in itself as well.
Well, it is a headache because, you know, when you look at the success that the Ireland juniors are having at the moment, the under-18s, they've got their next game coming up on the 20th of January, but Frank got the draw through yesterday for the senior men, and we've got to try and get that one played by the 10th of February. So there's another set of fixtures coming up, and it never really bothered me before because St George's would be the majority of the team. They'd have probably 11 or 12 and then the odd one, so it never allowed for any postponements. But now when you look at Peel, you look at Corinthians, you look at Russian and St George's, all four meet the criteria to have their games postponed, and it's the same with the Junior Ireland. So there is a backlog coming, but nothing like 2 years ago when we had them floods. We were over 200 and we got through it in the end, and I'll top it up tonight what we are, but we must be getting close to 100 now. Yeah, it's just one of those. But today it was a real difficult decision for the FA to make, because last night we could have had a blanket postponement job done and everyone could have cracked on with their lives. But we've got through with 3 games and we just didn't know what was going to come last night, and the way it was, the forecast, it didn't quite happen. So that allowed everyone to move around today quite freely.
Yeah, well, you still got a smile on your face talking about the fixtures as well, so that's something. I was just thinking there, you're talking about how in the past St George's used to dominate the Isle of Man representative side more than they do now. I mean, surely it's better for Manx football that we have a more even distribution. It might not be better for you in the fixtures, but it's surely better that we have a more even distribution of players.
Yeah, I think it's good. I know the rules been changed a little bit now, where I think it's 5 and 7, isn't it? You can only start with 5 players from one club. So in theory, St George's can have 7 players in the squad. 5 can start and 2 are on the bench. But you have to still remain with 5 on the pitch, even if you make the substitutions. But it is, and I don't know whether Richard could come in on this one. Is Division 2, I see some really good players in there, and I'm looking at one not too far away from me who I think have got a great opportunity.
Oh, Tony, I stopped playing years ago.
Well, you play for Castletown. You've got a great opportunity.
And Malou, actually.
Yeah, I think there's some Division 2 players now, some young players coming through who have got a great opportunity to get themselves into the Ireland squad. I think it's open now because St George's players are getting a little bit older, and it's going to be harder for them to retain their positions. I don't know what you think, Richard.
No, I think especially at Castletown, I mean, our young lads are they're really good. The likes of Conor Garrett, I think he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. I think he's only 16 years old, but when he grows and gets a bit bigger, I think he'd be fantastic. Jamie Cadwalder as well, he's another great player. Joel at the back with me, another great player. So yeah, Castletown really, really good in terms of young players. So I think 3-4 years, I think they'll be striving to sort of make that senior men's team. Yeah, I'd hope so.
One problem, I'm talking from experience of when I played 10, 15, 20 years ago. What we used to struggle with at Castletown at the time was we had very good 16, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, and then they'd go off to university. That really, really hit the team for quite a few seasons in a row. Is that the sort of thing that you guys have had to put up with now as well?
A few this year. Ewan and Noah Sansbury as well. Those two lads will start for us. They started for us last year. They would have started this year, but they go to uni. I'm fair play to them.
Of course,
you've got to get off the island and see the world or whatever. But yeah, no, they are a big miss. But luckily, we've had some good lads who've stepped in and filled their shoes. Yeah,
you've got the production line set up. That's good to hear.
It's really good.
That's good to hear. And Frank, Tony was just saying about the draw for the FA County tournament.
Yeah,
what's going on with that?
Well, we've had we've had 2 home games actually in the Interleague Cup. We had a very exciting game against Liverpool. It was 4-4 after 90 minutes, and then we really kicked in with our fitness, and great credit to our lads, because you could really tell then in that extra time period they kicked in and we won 7-4. So it was nice to overcome. Liverpool are always tough cookies in this competition, but now we face a quarter-final tie, so the stakes are higher. We move up a gear hopefully into the quarter-final. We've got Humber Premier League away. I would predict that they'll probably play at a place called North Ferriby. We have been there before. Or alternatively, we'll be playing North Riding League. As far as I'm aware, they play in sort of around the Leeds area. So it doesn't matter who we face. They're playing next Saturday, weather permitting, and then we've got a quarter-final tie. But of course, as Tony alluded to, we've got both teams doing particularly well. The youth team doing very, very well. We've had some cracking games down the bowl, and as it happens, I think we've had 7 home games on the bounce now. So this is a little bit of a difference, really. We'll have to start getting our maps out again and making sure we get coaches booked in the UK and all that type of thing. And I would commend Richard, because Richard Brandt in the office, he pieces all these things together, and I've had to do that in his absence recently. It's not an easy task. Players just turn up and hopefully it's seamless, but there is a lot to do when we get a home or an away tie. So we're really looking forward to it. Quarter-final, great. What more could we ask?